It's all being done to protect a man who is about to be the subject of an international arrest warrant for crimes against humanity, for crimes that border at least plausibly on genocide, according to the International Criminal Court. It is truly astonishing that the media continues to support a man about to be issued with an arrest warrant for war crimes, crimes against humanity. Not that you would know it from reading the British media, and I don't suppose the American media is any different. Lie after lie after lie after lie paves every day their coverage, not just of the genocide, but of the worldwide protests against it. Lies about the numbers who are there. Elon Musk has finally turned openly, publicly, in support of Israel and is now presiding over a witch hunt and large-scale suppression of alternative points of view on his platform, Twitter, which he told us had been returned to the free speech camp. Sure, you can have free speech on many things on Twitter, but not on Israel-Palestine. It is extraordinary, isn't it, that Elon Musk, who once prided himself on having a neutral view on great international conflicts, has become a paid-up member of the Israel lobby, a paid-up member of the Zionist lobby. He coined one thing, you know, if he'd said it's because of the advertising blacklist that I have suffered, that I can no longer speak my mind freely, if he'd said this is driven by commercial extremities, it is forced upon me, I have to algorithmically crack down on videos of war crimes that are or were previously proliferated. If he said what is undoubtedly the truth, well, that would be one thing. But in the words of Bob Dylan, in the epic story of poor Hattie Carroll, you who philosophize disgrace. That's what Musk is doing today. He's philosophizing disgrace. He says that the idea that the weaker party in a conflict automatically deserves public sympathy and the stronger party in a conflict, which in this case means Israel, is somehow guilty of the crimes of which it is accused, is a philosophical misnomer. In that case, Mr. Musk, support a ceasefire. If there's any ambiguity about who's right and who's wrong, at least support the demand to stop killing people whilst you philosophize and work out who's right and who is wrong. But he is cracking down on those who are seeking a ceasefire.
I want to talk to you today about two major world events: the ongoing war in Ukraine and the extraordinary events in Israel and Gaza particularly. They have something in common others have not noted that I want to emphasize. They are both products in good bit of terrible miscalculations made by the United States government. I'm not talking about calculations, good and bad, made by other governments, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, and so on. I'm talking about miscalculations made by the United States because our leaders and a great deal of our media don't seem to want to face a changed world reality. And what is that reality? It's the end of the American empire. It's a decline of American capitalism. On one hand, it was inevitable. The United States emerged from World War II the top dog. All the potential competitors, Britain, France, Germany, Japan, Russia, were destroyed in the war. The United States emerged, and for the rest of the 20th century was the absolute number one economic power in the world. We got used to it. It's not surprising, but it's over. There is now a real competitor. There is another part of the world economy. It's called China and its allies, also known as the BRICS, versus the United States and our allies, known as the G7. The BRICS and China are already a larger, wealthier economic power than the United States and the G7 combined. That is a world-changing reorganization of the world. Every country in the world is adjusting to this new reality, that you can go to Beijing for loans, not just to New York or London or Washington, that you can change your trade policies, you can change your migration policies. The whole world is now reorganizing itself around two powerful poles, one declining, that's us, and the other one rising, that's them. This is not a question of whether you like it, support it, wish it were otherwise. It's a question of facing a reality. And this reality has been coming at us for 15 years. It's now here, and it's not going to change anytime soon. Where are the miscalculations? It's because our leaders are practicing what psychologists call denial. They're not looking at this. If they see it, they don't think about it. They don't bring it into their brains when they're trying to come up with policies. Let me show you how disastrous that is. When the war begins between Ukraine, and Russia, the United States believes, and our leaders tell us, it'll be short. Russia's bigger, yeah, but the whole West, led by the United States, is going to support Ukraine, and that's going to turn the tables. Russian ruble will collapse. Russia will be falling to its economic knees, and all the rest. None of it happened. It's not true. It wasn't true then. Why not? Because leaders in the United States and Western Europe miscalculated. They didn't understand that Russia could and Russia would turn to China, turn to India, sell them the oil and gas that the West wouldn't buy anymore, thinking that would bring Russia to its knees. Didn't work. And over 2.5 years, almost into the war, the Russians are clearly winning and the Ukrainians are clearly losing. A catastrophic miscalculation. Worst of all, of course, for the people of Ukraine. Terrible for Russia, but not good for the United States, to say the least. And then there's the question of Israel in Gaza. We now have a decision of the International Court of Justice that the leader in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the defense minister are war criminals who have arrest warrants to be issued against them. Yes, Hamas, 3 leaders there, are also considered in that light. But this was not supposed to happen in the calculations of the United States. They thought that the kind of support Israel had been able to count on would always be there, that the rest of the world would look the other way, as it mostly has since Israel began in 1948. They miscalculated. The Palestinians have won the support, for example, of the BRICS community. And that support means more now. Through the BRICS, among others, the Palestinian side of the issue has become better known. The Israelis were always better at making their position known, especially in the United States. So the United States, after the horrible attack by Hamas in October, the United States pledged undying 100% support, not understanding that the world has changed. Whatever your view on the Israel-Gaza conflict, the rest of the world is clearly, in the vast majority, siding with the Palestinians, seeing what Israel has done after October as a kind of, to use the United Nations term, probable genocide, or now the new term, war criminal. The slaughter of huge numbers of Palestinians has turned the tide, even in the West, even in the United States, which wasn't calculated either. But it's the same mistake. Americans, too, are affected by the changed world position. Yes, there's some denial here, too. Bad news is often denied. But there are level-headed people who see what's going on, and the continued refusal to understand the change in the world, to pretend you can reverse that, to pretend you can undo the history, is naive and misguided. But worst of all, it leads to terrible miscalculations that will come back to, and already do, haunt the United States in ways that should alert us all. It's time to talk about, to face, and to deal honestly with the decline of the American empire, which is there following the decline of every other empire that the world has ever seen. You don't handle a declining empire by pretending that it isn't there.